Hey guys, Juicy here with another character changelog video for Season 2, and we're now looking at Li Chaolan. Let's get straight into it with his new moves. Hey, Li now finally has a couple of heat moves, just like the other characters. So his first one is down 1+2 out of heat, of course. It comes out at 18 frames, does quite a ton of damage, and takes about a third of the heat meter. Of course, he can transition it into Hitman by pressing 3+4 afterwards, and of course on block the whole thing is +6. Who would have thought? Of course, that's the name of the game with Tekken 8. And if he transitions into Hitman, it's even +8. His other new move out of heat is down forward 3+4. This move comes out at 16 frames. And Li also has the option to transition into Misstep by pressing forwards afterwards. And on block, the move is neutral, so that means 0. It doesn't matter if he transitions into Misstep or not. Then we have the pseudo new moves, so his back 2, 4, 3. What he can now do is he can transition into Misstep from it, so by pressing forward. And most likely this is going to open up new combo routes for him. My guess is going to be if you launch an opponent from either sides, maybe you're going to get more consistent stuff out of this. We'll have to wait and see what people come up with. His last new thing is his heat activation, so the heat burst. He can now do this during Hitman, so just like many other characters now in stance, they can activate heat burst. And then we come to the changes pertaining to heat engagers. So first up is his new heat engager during Hitman 111. This is now, of course, as I said, a heat engager, but what they've also done is they've buffed the hitbox on the first hit to prevent whiffing, which was sometimes the case. And the next one we have is during Hitman up 3. This has been buffed damage-wise. It now does 32 damage instead of 24. However, as you can see, it is no longer a heat engager. And what they've also done as well with it is they've expanded the hitbox downwards, because it seems like if you want to use this move as a follow-up after some others, it would sometimes whiff. I personally didn't really use it. The next heat engager he received now is a bit more puzzling to me, and that is down forward 3-2-3. Previously, the last hit didn't, of course, heat engage, but it was also launch punishable at -16, and they've buffed it now that it's -14 on block instead. However, they still try to motivate you to use this move more, in that for one, the first hit had its hitboxes buffed a bit. Of course, that's more of consistency stuff. But what they've also done is that the first hit on block recovers 1 frame faster. And what that leads to is that the follow-up, so the second hit, which is a high, is no longer duckable after blocking the first one. So this now jails. However, previously that punch, the second hit, used to be -6. It's now punishable at -10. So they kind of want you to gamble a bit and keep your opponent guessing if you're going to throw out the extension or not, so that they may or may not want to punish. I don't know how this is going to work out, but I'm not really a big fan of this change. And of course, back 3+4, the power crush move now is no longer a heat engager, which I think is right, and it should be for all characters, as it seems to be the case in Season 2. Now let's continue with the rest of the changes. We have a couple of command input changes, first of which being his unblockable. So previously it was down 3+4. This now has the input of up back 3+4. I really like this change because, truth be told, is every League player knows this. Once in a while, once in a long while, you accidentally input this and you're so shocked yourself that you forget that you can cancel the unblockable. Now, the next change I am not so thrilled with, and that is Blazing Kick now has a different input. So instead of the previous input, we now have a quarter circle forward 4. I find this a bit weird, and I don't know exactly what they were going for with this. It's going to take a long time for me to adjust to this one. They have also buffed the hitbox so that it hits more downed opponents, because sometimes it just wouldn't hit them properly and they would whiff. And speaking of downed opponents, what's also happened here is that the behavior has changed now. Previously they would just flip over and still be kind of close to you. Now they kind of fly further away from you, so you can no longer keep your pressure going. Now we're going to look at some buffs across the board for these slides. The general change is that on hit, it has a higher frame advantage. It used to be +3, now it's +5. When you do the just frame version or the one in heat, it also gets a damage increment from 23 to 26. I think that's justified if you can execute it in the just frame version. And of course, if he does the slide during Misstep by executing 3+4, it also receives a slight buff to the damage. It used to do 17, now it does 20. But of course, it also retains the frame advantage on hit from +3 to +5. So Forward 2 also received a couple of buffs, and that is, regardless of whether you do it in the just frame version or not, now it has a startup frames of between 15 and 16 frames. That is kind of massive compared to before, which it was 20 to 21 frames with the non-just frame version and 18 to 19 frames in the just frame version. On top of that, the just frame version now on hit has the opponent's behavior change, so now you get guaranteed follow-ups after that connects. Forward 4.1 has also been buffed, also the just frame version. Firstly, the regular version has gotten a damage increment, and that is the last hit now does 24 instead of 20. Overall, in both versions, just frame or not, they have buffed the hitbox for consistency. Sometimes if you'd want to like take certain combo routes, simpler combo routes ironically, they would whiff, or if you want to use it at the end of something as a follow-up at the wall, it may also whiff. Now in its just frame version, they've even buffed the damage more, so the last hit used to do 25 as a just frame, and now it does 27. While crouching down forward 4 also received quite a few buffs, and that is, it used to be -3 on hit, it's now +3 on hit. And to make matters even better, or worse depending if you're on the receiving or giving end, Lee is also closer on hits to the opponent, so he can pressure off that much more easily. Now we come to during Misstep, so the Misstep cancel into back and then 4. This has now gotten a damage increment from 18 to 20, and what they've also done is that on hit, the frame advantage has also been increased from 3 to 5. And then, to make things more easier for the counter hit follow-ups, which are guaranteed, they have a kind of different visual cue now, slightly different when it connects to the counter hit. It's because you are at +12, so you get guaranteed follow-ups, right? And to also make it clear, the follow-ups you get are scaled at 70%. Back 3-3 also got nerfed and got a damage reduction from the last hit being 12 damage now to just 9. This is going to be a nerf to Lee's overall combo damage because he also uses this as a pickup. I would have liked to see them nerf this move in a different way, maybe so that it's not looped and spammed all the time. What we have next is then during Hitman up 4. This has a couple of different changes. It might as well also just be a different move entirely. So on block, this move used to put your opponent in crouch and was -7 on block, but now it is +5 on block. It doesn't put the opponent in crouch anymore, and it now also deals chip damage. It's gotten a couple of fixes in the sense that it had its hitbox expanded downwards, so now it should be more consistent. And what they've also done is that on regular hit, they've decreased the frame advantage. It used to be +13, it's now +8 on hit. On counter hit, it is still +13, so you can get guaranteed follow-ups on counter hit. Lee's 14 frame move while rising to 3 now directly tornadoes as quite a big change now. That potentially means that he now has a 14 frame launcher, maybe not with the same amount of damage he would get with the heat burst. However, to also reflect the change, they made this more punishable on block. It used to be minus 13, it's now minus 14 on block. Back 4 also got a damage nerf in that it now does 17 damage instead of 20. And we also have forward 3, which got a damage nerf from 26 to 23. And it's also the case now that it's reduced the distance to the opponent on block. So Lee is at minus 9, and now that means that he is now at the mercy of his opponent. He can't always be spamming forward 3 all the time. Okay, we have some general hurt box nerfs to some moves. Forward 4 being one of them. It just means that in certain scenarios, if somebody would want to punish Lee, they would whiff. This shouldn't be the case anymore. And the same also goes for down 2. If you ask me, it just means that we could potentially see these moves not being as evasive as they are meant to be anymore. And then the last thing also goes to down forward 2. It says they expanded the hurt box, and in this case it's actually a buff, and that the move should connect now from even further away. The move 3-3 kind of seems like it got nerfed because the second attack needed 17 frames, now it needs between 17 and 18 frames. Or what they've just done is that they've just made a couple of changes, because sometimes the second move would whiff even though the first one connected or was blocked. And now that shouldn't be the case anymore, it should be more consistent. Next up we have during Hitman 1+2, it's also got a consistency fix, and that is in some cases the second move would whiff. That should no longer be the case. And we have now forward 2-1, this also got a consistency fix. Sometimes, just like with forward 4-1, you would have a scenario where you want to go for a simpler combo and then it would whiff for no apparent reason, so the follow-up, and they've kind of adjusted it so that the second hit now connects better, especially with aerial combos, so juggle combos. Now we got this move here, it's more or less received the same buff as 3-3, it's just more consistent now, which I think is good. And we have Misstep, which also got a fix, and that is with special styles some things were possible which were definitely not intended. You can go Google it yourself. And the last fix is to crouch. So when you're crouching and you want to jump afterwards, for some reason in some cases Lee would do this faster than other characters. Now it should be the same across the board. So that brings us to the end of Season 2 changes for Lee. As per usual, in the comments you can let me know what you liked, what you disliked, what you rather would have liked to see. Personally, this video turned out a bit longer than the other ones because Lee is my main and I had something directly to say, so thank you for watching till to the end. You guys already know the drill. If you don't want to subscribe, that's fine, but at least consider leaving a like to help with the algorithm. And this is your boy Juti, and I'll see you in the next one.